Today we're going to eat together and we're going to talk about emotional eating. So if you want to join me and grab something to eat, or if you're going to wait to watch this when you're hungry and we could eat together, put this on pause and wait till you get hungry. So let's get started. Today what I want to talk about is emotional eating, and I want you to see if you could identify what kind of emotional eater you are. And I'm going to attempt to do this while eating. Not so easy to do. So let's take a moment to get present in our bodies. I'm a little excited, so I'm not so present because I haven't made a video in a while, so it always feels sparkly. So I want to take a few moments with you. We could, take some breaths, get present into your body, and rate, where in that hunger fullness scale you are. I am a 3, I'm turning into a 2, I'm getting quite hungry, and so I'm excited to dive in. Here I'm at a sushi restaurant. I'm so excited to be out and about. It feels so good to be out at a restaurant, finally. So let's jump in. Let's set an intention for this meal. So my intention is to be present while I'm eating, to make sense while I'm talking, and to convey some good information and hopefully, maybe inspire you. So let's talk about emotional eating. And I'm going to use my own story as an example, stories about me in the past few days and weeks and from years ago. And I'm using these stories in service to helping you identify where you may be in terms of your own emotional eating. So this happened just a few weeks ago, that I got into a discussion with a friend. And in the discussion, I was heightened, I was feeling emotional, and it was amazing because I was feeling emotional while something was going on. I was feeling my feeling during the situation. So does that ever happen to you? That I was never that kind of person before. I usually didn't recognize that I was feeling something. So for me, it's always been a breakthrough when I could feel something in the moment. So that's type 1. It's a non-emotional eater. It's somebody who's feeling their feelings in the moment without using food. Then there's the next thing that happened. So later on that day, I went home. And when I was at home, I sat on the couch and I knew I was still feeling upset from our conversation. So I anticipated my emotion. I anticipated feeling upset or irritated and frustrated. And so I made space and time for myself to sit on the couch and to breathe and to be present with my emotions. How about you? Has that ever happened that you knew you were going to be dealing with something uncomfortable, or that you were going to go through a challenge in your life, and because you anticipated knowing that it was going to be hard, that you didn't rely on food as much because you gave yourself that space and time to process your feelings, That happens sometimes for people. If they know they're going to go through something hard, like the death of a loved one, or exams, or a deadline, because they anticipate that it's going to be stressful and that they may be more likely to eat emotionally, they anticipate for that, and because of that they give themselves the space and the time to feel, and they're less likely to rely on food. So is that something you've experienced? Has that ever happened with you? How's your food going? Let's check into our bodies. I'm still hungry. I just took one bite. And how do you eat sushi? Do you eat it all in one bite? I wonder if there's like an etiquette around this. If you know, please let me know. I'd love to know. I just stick it all in my mouth. Oh. So, the next type of emotional eater that you might be is the type who realizes that they're feeling an emotion when they think about food. Has that ever happened to you? That happened to me. The same day, I noticed I was getting ready to meet my friend for dinner, and as I was getting ready for dinner, I kept on thinking about chocolate-covered almonds. I knew I wasn't very hungry yet, and so it was really interesting that I was thinking about chocolate-covered almonds. And so I went to the pantry to get chocolate-covered almonds, and I realized that, hey, could there be something going on? Could this actually be an emotion? And sure enough, it was. I was so bothered by my friend, and I wasn't feeling happy, and I was hoping that the sweetness of the chocolate-covered almond would cheer me up. So once I saw that, I was able to decide, you know what, I don't want to eat that. Instead, I want to process this feeling, and I decided to not have the chocolate-covered almond. So I was aware that I wanted to eat emotionally. I was aware that I was triggered, and I chose not to eat. Has that ever happened? Have you ever done that before? What helps you be able to do that? There's the other type of emotional eater that realizes that they're emotionally triggered, that they're not physically hungry, and may choose to eat anyway as well. I did that too. And the way my story looked like is I had made a batch of homemade ice cream with one of my friends, and it looked really delicious, but truthfully I wasn't really hungry for it. I wasn't really craving the ice cream. But because, he was so excited and we had made it together, I wanted to participate in the experience. So even though I wasn't craving it, even though I wasn't hungry, I went ahead and I ate the ice cream anyway. So has that ever happened to you that, you're not necessarily craving something, you're not necessarily hungry for it, but you go ahead and you eat it anyway? It's kind of like being aware that you're eating emotionally and eating anyway. That might happen too if you're too busy to address the emotion, or you don't really know how to address the emotion quite yet, and so you might decide, I don't know what to do now, or I don't have a better tool at my disposal, and you might go ahead and eat anyway. Have you ever done that? So let's take a moment to check in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you present with your food? Are you tuning in? This is really good. Usually when I get sushi, I get cooked stuff. It's not a nutrition thing, it's just a preference thing. And I love seaweed salad. I absolutely love seaweed salad. And I love ginger and wasabi. So anyway, and if you're eating something, let me know what you're eating. And then there's this last type of emotional eater, and it's somebody who doesn't even know that they're eating emotionally at all. And I know I'm talking to one of these people when they say, I'm not an emotional eater. When I eat, it's not because of emotion. No. And they say like, oh no, I don't have feelings. I don't really have feelings, so I'm not eating emotionally. And I'll share my story. My story was, I was working at a place, and for some reason, the popcorn, like those popcorn tins, would always be calling to me. And I would eat massive amounts of those popcorn tins, and I'd be upset about the quantity of the popcorn I would eat. So in the moment, I had no idea I was eating emotionally. It wasn't until years later I realized that I didn't like that job, I felt uncomfortable, and that I was using the popcorn to get through the workday, right? But if you had asked me in the moment, I would say, I'm not emotional, I'm not feeling anything, I'm not one of those people. So how about you? Do you ever eat when you're not hungry? Do you eat, just because? And if that's you, I want you to know your eating is never random. It's never arbitrary. It's always serving some purpose, maybe taking an edge off a feeling or distracting you or numbing you out. So it's really important to know that when you're eating, when you're not physically hungry, that there is something there. It may not be so profound or so deep, like feeling unaligned with your job. It may be something more subtle than that, but it's never random or arbitrary. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because a very important step of addressing emotional eating is becoming more aware. So where are you in this experience? And by the way, you might be all over. I've been all of these different places, and that's okay too. Are you the kind of person who feels their feelings in the moment and doesn't even think about food? Or are you somebody who knows that they're feeling something because they're thinking about food? Or are you the person who might want to eat emotionally, or it feels like there's that emotional eating urge there and you could choose not to eat anyway? Or do you notice you're the type of person who's more likely to eat because maybe the food just looks so great, or you don't have the emotional tools to deal with it? Or are you the kind of person who doesn't even recognize that you may be emotional eating? That non-hunger urge is trying to tell you something and you just may not be aware of that yet. So comment. Let us know what type of emotional eater you are. Let me know if this video is helpful. I'm going to end it here even though I have more to eat. And so I hope this was helpful. So much love to you. Oh, and if you like this video, please subscribe and share this video with other people. And for those of you who've already subscribed, thank you for being part of my life. Okay, talk later. Bye.